Esther had a lot of wonderful moments as she was involved in watching the election process of the last United States election. It was really a very productive exercise for her because she decided that she was going to read as much as she could read and hear as much as she could hear from as many places as she could hear it. Because what she was asking herself was not what's the truth of it all, because she's learned a long time ago in the very early stages of Jerry and Esther receiving us. Esther said, oh good, now I can know who's lying. And so there was a Judge Wapner on at the time, and the judge would review cases, and Esther would say, oh good, now which one is telling the truth and which one is lying, because they were telling opposite stories often. And we said to Esther, a better question is, who believes what they're saying? Because different people have different perspectives. It's not right and wrong like everyone thinks. It's opposed to what I think and maybe in harmony with what I think, but there's not a giant right and wrong in the sky. So Esther's exposure to all of these different points of view made her realize that she held long-standing beliefs about things that she couldn't get around. And when she would hear someone speaking in opposition to something that she believed, she would shut down and not listen to anything else that that person might have to say, which really upset her about herself, because she was wanting to glean information and knowledge. She was wanting to glean information from which to make her better decisions about things. So the reason that we're telling you that story is because you're out here in a giant political election, and we don't mean the one that has just passed. We mean the world in which you live. We mean all of the people that you are interacting with, all of the variety of beliefs and desires that they hold. And you have more than ever before tremendous exposure to a lot of sifting and sorting of information. If you are wanting to live as you intended when you came, then you're wanting to stand where you are and evaluate to find the best of it, to find the best thought process, the path of least resistance for your well-being and for the well-being of others. Stay with us. You're really going to like this. What if there were a part of you who has suspended all judgment and all pushing against of all that exists? And what if that part of you could just say, there's a viable answer for the whole, there's a viable answer for the whole? What if there were a part of you that was not bogged down in your own prejudices and beliefs that are working against? What if you could tune in to that God-forced part of you? And what if you could select now from this buffet, from this bouquet of magnificent differences that are on your planet? What if you had the ability to, with ease, find the path of least resistance? Well, you do. That's what this is all about. In time, as Esther played the game with herself a little bit, she began to not have to hide from one network or another. She could watch any of them, and she could find a good idea every time she listened. She could find a reason to appreciate that person being interviewed, or even that person talked about, no matter what the discussion was, when she was looking at it through the eyes of source, you see. And so, how are you going to be happy in this world when you are primarily a source energy being? When you are a lover, how are you going to be happy when you find things to hate? You're not. You can't have it both ways. How are you going to feel secure and insecure at the same time? You're not. You have choices to make. And really, the only choice that you have to make, you don't have to sort out everything that everybody's talking about and everything that everybody's thinking about. Esther was really going about it the hard way in those early days of that, because there's too much. She was making notes. She was recording things. She was trying to remember what they'd said. She was trying to remember what they said before and what they said before. And after a while, she realized they didn't even know what they were saying, because they said a different thing every time they said it. So there's really no point in trying to figure out what they think, because they don't even know what they think. And then she figured out that by coming into alignment with who she really is, by coming into alignment with the source within her, by looking at the world through the eyes of Abraham, through the eyes of her inner being, through the eyes of source, that she could find in everyone something to love. And then, and only then, was she free.